Lads, please like and comment. That would really help the progression of this channel. Thank you.
Well, lads, what's the crack? Right, so, monumental moment in history right now. Zelensky has just been after having his, how would you call this? This over-exaggerated spectacle in the White House that we call an interview. Is it his fault that it turned out the way it did? Absolutely not. It's mostly, like I've been already saying, it's Trump to blame for all of this bravado that he's trying to show to appease his, I was going to say his buddy Putin, no, his housemaster Putin, right? His master is who he's trying to appease. Not Europe, not the safety apparatus that we have built up, that America has built up, which it calls NATO. I don't even think after this that America should be a part of NATO anymore. I think its expiration date is already long past, you know? I think America in NATO are like those Tesco cheese sticks that you get for fucking £2. You know, in the little disposable section where they're about to go bad. Like, that is literally Trump's position, right? But without any further blabber on, without any further ado, right? Because I barely have any time to discuss this anyway. And, you know, I don't want to take away from the precious time that we could be discussing, you know, political affairs going on here by just talking. What's the point of that? All I want to say is, boys, subscribe to my TikTok. It's also Shady Sheep, believe it or not. And without any further ado, just my teeth look gammy with this lighting, man. Nah, still bad. What can we do? Without any further ado, let's head on right into this mess. See what's going on. Because this is a fiasco. This is going to last in Trump's and Zelensky's legacy for years to come. Right? But as a prelude, before we start watching this, effectively what happened is Trump, being Putin's dog, wanted to have Zelensky sign a deal that he knew preemptively he wasn't going to sign. Because it's so bang out of order. It's so not in favor. Trump obviously knew what he was doing and thought he was playing, thought everyone else was playing checkers while he was playing chess, when in reality he was getting played by his master Putin. Right, that's exactly what he wanted, because Putin already wanted America to put its resources. Putin already wanted to hand Russia's resources over to America, right? What the rationale behind Zelensky doing this from some Trump supporters who support Ukraine also is that since American resources are at stake, America has the right to hop right into the war if the resources get threatened. But what's the point of that, right? Because can't you just let Ukraine into NATO? I don't understand. But we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, I'm just trying to distract myself. We got our black tea.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have President.
This represents the Black Sea that Russia's battleship, the so-called Moscow, drowned in unfavorably.
Very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries, I think for the world, actually, beyond both countries. And we have something that is a very fair deal. And we look forward to getting in and digging and working.
Digging. Of course, this is a really fair deal to America. Yeah. Zelensky, he seems very spineless until like the final outburst where he realizes that saying thank you to America to try and appease them is no longer going to win him any favors, which is good, but he should have been like that from the start. From the start, Zelensky should have pointed Trump in his place and said, "Oi, you orange cunt, go drink some Indian water that they use in their street food, you fucking tart." But he didn't do that. Look, he keeps on congratulating America for sending them weapons and resources. Just a whole bunch of shite. Anyway, Zelensky, man up. And he does, granted, in the last 10 minutes.
Some of the rare earth but it means we're going to be inside, and it's a big commitment from the United States, and we appreciate working with you very much. And
which is a lie.
Continue to do that. We have had some very good discussions with
the only thing
Russia.
you appreciate is getting your fucking toupee changed every second week.
We're trying to bring this to a close. It's something that
you orange bastard.
We have to negotiate a deal, but we've started the confines of a deal, and I think
the confines of a deal, he says.
The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. You're losing thousands of soldiers. So on both sides, we're losing a lot of soldiers, and we want to see it stop. And we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuilding.
I'm going to say the most obvious shit in order to confuse the crowd, and in order to lead up to offering Zelensky a deal he is most definitely going to refuse. Man, just fucking say what you're going to say, man. Like, I don't like Trump for this. Like, he just yaps. Honestly, lads. He just yaps. Like, the first couple, he has like a prelude. It's like this foreplay that he does. Just says a bunch of random shit that has nothing to do with anything. Just to then be like, oh yeah, so do you want to sign this deal about giving over all your resources to us? Yeah, boys, just in case I didn't explain it further. Ukraine has some, has in its country, the birthplace of metallic minerals, right? The birthplace of rare earth metals that Trump wants to get his mittens on. 30% of Ukraine's land they're on, right? And his whole thing is that Zelensky's going to sign this agreement, this deal, and it's going to be good for him. Well, do you know why it's going to be good for him? Because now American resources are at stake and Russia is not going to invade. Yeah, like, anything has ever deterred Russia from invading. You can literally point a nuke at Russia and it's still gonna fucking invade. This isn't convincing anyone,
and
Donny.
We're going to be working very hard, but we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say, until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue. And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened. We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've...
Of course, a furry-mouthed lie, again, because Trump, believe it or not, was president while the war was going on before 2025. He was president in 2016 when Russian officials were sending weapons to the separatists in Ukraine. He was president in that same year when in Volnovakha some separatist bastards blew up a bus with a dozen innocent people. He was president in 2018 when artillery shells were still shelling the Donetsk region from Russia, from the Russian side. He was still president in 2018 and 19 when Ukraine was capturing Russian POWs left and right, like Yerofeev and Alexandrov, which they switched for the Ukrainian major, what was her name, Savchenko. So, this is a furry-mouthed lie. This fuzzball is clearly talking a bunch of shit again, but like, we've come to expect it from him, in fairness, right? He's trying to do some foreplay in order to get to the deal. He's not going to hit Zelensky directly with it, right? Because from a psychological point of view, you know, it's about getting you into a trance. It's about making you feel comfortable, and then you drop the shite on him. Then you say that, oh, we're going to give you this deal that you can't refuse. He's a slimy fella, I'm telling you. Donald Trump. He's a slimy rat.
We've given him great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave, and we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly. And
oh yeah, we've seen how it was over very quickly when you were president for 4 years and you didn't stop the war.
To your generals and your soldiers and yourself, in the sense that
I'm not going to try and use any epithets or derogatory terms in relation to people of limited mobility or in worldly perception, who possess a certain degree of neurodivergency, as we really don't want to get our content taken down by YouTube. So words like the R word are out of the picture. But I'm just going to say tired, because that's what Donald Trump is in reality. He thinks he's playing his own game, but in reality he's getting played by his daddy Putin. I'll explain why later on. You will see for yourself.
Very tough fighting.
Right, enough talking from me.
And you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things. And we appreciate everybody being here. It's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when we when they stop the shooting and we end up with a deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor to have you. And please, you'd like to say something?
No, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you.
At the start of this video, I was already full of aggression towards Donnie over here, right? Maybe we should hear him out, maybe we should listen to what he has to say. Maybe he'll say something worthwhile.
Really, I hope that this...
Never know.
Document.
And we appreciate you to say something.
No, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you.
At the start of this video,
I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation. And of course,
Zelensky should not have said that. He's playing too deep into Russian propaganda by saying we should continue the war. Instead, he should have said we're trying to continue the defense, but given Zelensky's limited English, it's fairly excusable on his part.
The infrastructure or security guarantees, because for today I understand what Europe is ready to do.
I understand what you mean.
I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do, and I really count on your strong position.
The United States will be ready to do what it always does. Lean back in its armchair and act like it's not the world police. Yeah, when it's fighting a country that poses some kind of imminent threat to it, that isn't fucking Iraq or Serbia, which it can flex his muscles on, which I'm not against.
And
but they're complete wusses when it comes to Russia. Even though Obama is better than Trump in international policy, in geopolitics, in diplomacy, and in showing America's authority, he was still a wuss when it came to Russia and Crimea. Lest we remember what he did after Russia invaded and occupied Crimea. He was given some stern words. He was like, American people, what Russia did was pretty bad, but all we can do right now is impose some sanctions. Michelle.
That enough
so,
with the war.
Yeah, it's a trend with America these days.
To say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our.
I'm Russian. In Russian, we have a phrase: "Putin хуйло." Right? I'm trying to figure out how to say хуйло in English. I need to know what that is.
Our freedom and democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be later. And of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course, we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians, and I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you. Of course,
Hulo means something like dick hole in Russian.
For quick production.
That's exactly what Putin is.
Defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And the last point, not least,
Zelensky, what he's doing right now is he's pouring a bunch of water, right, in order to try to get America, specifically Trump, on his side, to make himself seem sympathetic to him, but this is futile and this is a bunch of horseshit anyway. Like, this doesn't work, and we'll see why this doesn't work. So we're going to skip this part. We're going to move on to Trump's blabber.
People and children, their families, relatives. They changed their names.
Oh yeah,
More than
this is
20,000
important.
of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names. They changed their families. Really,
Just to clear this fact up, right? Russia really did steal Ukrainian children, right? Just in case any Russian trolls decide to get their musty grits on their keyboard and type out some bollocks in the comments like, oh, this is all Ukrainian propaganda. I'll show this to you right now. This is something that was confirmed by the OCA, by the UN. Ukrainian children abducted by Russia. This is a Reuters article. Left with psychological scars, campaigners say. Switzerland, Reuters, June 15th. Russia abduction of Ukrainian children is an attempt to steal the country's future and has left youngsters with a deep psychological scars and campaigns on Saturday. Kiev says that about 2,000 children were stolen, and I'm assuming most of them were from Mariupol alone, which Russia not only occupied but leveled to the ground and killed the most people out of the 14,000 Ukrainians that lost their lives for nothing, just because Russia decided to invade.
4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some images. How it's I've just can I now?
Yeah,
Have I?
please.
Some minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Just you to understand in what circumstances, in what situation they are, and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That guys, just you before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, there, and that, so they don't
know if we can show this on YouTube.
Them and they, they do a lot of. During the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war. So these guys, they don't have any rules. You see that, 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things.
Yeah,
And
a little bit of backstory. Basically, right now what Zelensky's doing is he's trying to tug on Donald Trump's heartstrings. Well, that is if there's anything to tug on in the first place. And like I already said a billion times, Zelensky finds out that there is nothing to tug on. Donald Trump really doesn't give a fuck. Look at his face. Like, look at this fella's Chevy Chase, right? This oiled up, orange toupee wearing... Jesus Christ, my flag fell over. Like, does he really give a fuck? No. Does he care that the prisoners that Russia took from the Azov battalion, right, that it starved, some of whom dropped to 60 kilograms, like Zelensky here says, does he really care that this happened to these people, these injustices, and Russia not following the Geneva Convention? No, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just there like, yeah. I totally agree, yes, this is really bad. Fuck you, man.
I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will share with you. And I mean, it's looking tragic.
Yeah, that's tough stuff.
Yeah, I wanted very much to give you, and you see.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. We, at the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. And this is pastor, you see.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. So I mean, this I wanted to show you, and this. So thank you very much.
We want to get that entered, right?
Yeah. Of course, we
And
want.
I think we will. And
We have to, of course.
do you have any questions?
Why is Trump talking to him like he's an SNA or something? Like, he's honestly talking to Zelensky like he's in fucking... What's that place called? Where all the slow kids go in school.
Questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. President.
LCA, yeah, he's talking to Zelensky like he's an LCA or something, you know, like he's mentally stunted child.
How much money is
Like, this fella's a grown man.
that is being created
Like,
today?
what authority
And
does
how
Trump
does
have
this
to be
provide
talking to him like this?
security
Is
for
fucking...
Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much, because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And as you know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth. And what we do have is protected by the environmentalists, but that can be unprotected, but still it's not very much. They have among the best in the world in terms of raw earth. So we're going to be using that, using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons and the military, and it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So it's something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil, we have a lot of gas, we have a lot, but we don't have raw earth.
We don't have raw earth. There we go. Exactly. Trump finally lays out all his bricks in front of Zelensky. He finally says what he's here for in the first place. It's not to defend Ukraine, it's to get his mittens on their resources to satisfy his daddy Putin. And it took him only 10 minutes. Let's be fair, lads. Recently, in other interviews I've seen of him, it took him way more time to say this shit.
I think they're going to have great luck. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin, and I think. Oh yeah,
I'm sure you've done more than speak with President Putin, Donnie.
And I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made,
you did speak to him. You're speaking dirty. I'll tell you that, man.
About security, everyone's talking about the other
wee
day.
Bit foreplay in the bed.
Security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now.
I'm sure it was a nice threesome with Kim Jong-un and Lukashenko probably there as well in the corner watching.
We have to have
well, there's a real fetish
now,
for dictators.
Last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides.
He was definitely not. I'm not even messing with you. He was definitely in the little fucking shitty hotel room that they rented for 40 quid in the bed with Putin. Like, oh yeah, Vladdy, you really put the dick in dictator.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield.
Oh yeah, and you care about that so much.
They're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers.
Oh yeah, the poor Russian soldiers. Oh my God, the poor occupants, the poor occupiers who came to take Ukrainian land. Oh boo-hoo.
Money on other things. We don't want to. This is a tremendous amount of money, and what the Biden
money. It's money that I care about. Fucking Scrooge McDuck over here, like.
Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had security. It was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected because the Americans.
By the way, Europe didn't give loans to Ukraine. I'm pretty sure they gave grants. Like we can look this up right now. Grants to Ukraine, Europe. Yeah. EU financial support to Ukraine. This is from the European Commission. In 2023, in order to continue supporting Ukraine, the EU budget enabled 90 billion euros in short-term assistance, including unprecedented support packages, which aren't necessarily loans. A lot of them are. Like, I'm not really flexed on the terminology or anything like that, but a lot of them are grants. 18 billion of them were loans, right? But that means there was at least 1 billion grant. America didn't send any grants to Ukraine. Maybe they should, if they did send $1 billion in the grant, that would have helped a lot, but they didn't, as far as I'm aware. Providing loans and grants in 2022, thanks to this, Ukraine has been able to continue paying wages and pensions to their own people, restore critical infrastructure damaged by the war, maintain essential public services like hospitals, schools for children, ensure macroeconomic stability. This is all the things that conservatives don't care about. They don't care that Ukrainian children aren't able to go to school. They don't care that people aren't able to get urgent medical care at hospitals because they have their own money. You know, they have medical insurance in their own country. And they think it's from their hard-earned money, when in reality, if America spends 10 times as much in a grant to Ukraine, it would not affect their economic stability. These people, I'm talking about Republicans, are just fucking, what's that word? Narcissistic, egotistical arseholes who only care for themselves. That's really the point of capitalism.
This is an incredible agreement for Ukraine, because
a bunch of egotistical wankers, and Donald Trump represents them. You know, he's the orange face of this gang of doolalies.
We have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. and we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country.
Mr. President,
This allows us to do this.
will you continue sending military aid?
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes. In the document, there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see
it's not a wonderful day.
Really goodwill for this.
Not at all.
LNG terminals for
this
us
is ironic.
very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they are our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
Don't argue.
No.
Okay.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a President of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln.
Of course he does. Of course he associates himself with them. Who else would he fucking associate himself with?
Kidding, right? Because when I say that,
yeah, we all know you're taking the piss, Donny.
He considers himself to be better than Washington, but you never know. You never know. I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great.
If only there was someone who I can compare yourself to. If only there was someone who I can compare you to, it'd probably be Taft, you know, the president who was infamous for dying in a bathtub, which is an insult to him, in fairness, because he's done tremendously, in comparison, a lot more for America than Trump has, in fairness.
We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know, but I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak, and I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Mr. President, where has your vision? Mr. President, will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
President Zelensky, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side? That President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
What an arrogant twat.
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation.
And of course Zelensky has to say this. He has to play to the rhythm of the beat and say, just to lick our Trump a bit, you know, to go easy on him. Like, oh, America has always been on our side. Come on, Vladimir. For real.
And,
America has sent one tank, alright, maybe two, to Ukraine. This is a fucking joke. In comparison, if we compare how much America spends on their military-industrial complex, what their military budget is, and how much they're sending to Ukraine, it's a fucking joke.
Our side, and of course, I'm sure that United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president, speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when, he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall.
We've had very, very good talks.
Donald Trump is a peacemaker. Is not going to be his nickname. It's not going to be his epithet by the end of the war. I'll tell you exactly what it is going to be, though. It's not going to be lovely.
I just wanted to ask both of you. Firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelensky is going to have to make? And President Zelensky, is there anything that you might be thinking that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. That's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile, to put it mildly. They've been very hostile. There's been a vicious war. There's been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out.
Yeah, mate. The only thing you're being a mediator to is Putin and Kim Jong-un in the bedroom when they're doing 69.
You
try to separate them just to get in there yourself.
Many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to, thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very...
Yeah, peacemaker by... When Russia occupies Ukrainian land, you'll occupy Ukraine's resources. See, what his whole thing is, right? Obviously, I'll show you the article a bit later. But basically what Trump's plan was, what his rationale was to Zelensky when he was trying to say that, oh, we want your resources, and Zelensky is obviously going to say no. His justification for it was going to be, this is how you would give the money back for our loans. First of all, what loans? Second of all, Ukraine's payback, Ukraine's debt that it's paying back is the safety of the European continent from Russian aggression, right? But you obviously care more about money, you orange twat, than you care about the safety of the continent that you made a North Atlantic Treaty with in order to protect by Article 5, which obviously doesn't fucking work, right? Even after Russia killed 2 Polish farmers, unconfirmed of course, but still.
Dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This
now the warmongering starts,
if
as
this
we expected.
Election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and we won it by a lot, that was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and
Oh yeah, Trump, you know, when Zelensky wants to talk about his country being destroyed, start bragging about how many votes you got in an election.
This could very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not...
Does he really think the people who voted for him know better than him? Obviously they don't. If he's as stupid, obviously they're going to vote as someone as stupid as him, you know. Fisherman Kieran Maher seeing a fisher from afar, so I'd say down in Ireland.
That would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelensky.
Offered him his rod.
Why don't you wear a suit?
Oh, there it is.
You're at the highest level in this country's office.
Why don't you wear a suit? Fellas, country's falling apart due to Russian aggression, and the most smartest, ingenious, 100 level brain question that you could come up with was, why don't you wear a suit? None of your business, you cunt.
Suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting the dignity of this office.
I will wear costume.
A lot of Americans have problems with him wearing a suit.
Yes.
I thought their biggest problem was that they can't send their children to school because America's spending all of its money on Ukraine. And now their biggest problem, as this shitty journalist says, it's probably some phony news network. Like, I don't even know any American news networks, in fairness. We live in Ireland. We have our own heap of shit over here, you know. The best thing he can come up with is ask him why he doesn't wear a suit. Yeah, in this context, this is a very important question.
Yes.
I preface this.
Something better, I don't know.
Something
we'll
better.
see. Maybe something cheaper than, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you...
It's weird though that Zelensky says he'll wear a costume after the war. Granted, he doesn't have good English, but I really hoped you realised that costume means like a fucking Santa Claus costume. You know, or like a Ronald McDonald costume. It doesn't mean suit. But, you know, he still stood his ground. Good man himself.
Arms to Ukraine in peace, there's no peace.
You know, when you're getting bullied like this, you know, that's the best you could do.
Hopefully I won't have to send very much, because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly.
My prediction for 2026, fuck it, 2028 is when his shitty ass term is going to be over and when he's no longer going to be president, going to be able to be president by American law, thank God. He's not going to end the war. That's a guarantee from me. The war is not going to end under Trump.
Looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished.
Quote me on this.
Do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement, because we needed what they had, and we're treating, you know, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But,
Fisherman Kieran Maher seeing a fisher
sure,
from afar. You've heard it before, Donnie. We don't need to hear it again.
Much, because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet, because I want to get the deal done. You know, you fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. You know, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the
digging.
So that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day.
You know, the people who defend Trump are an awful lot like him, you know, and especially when he speaks ill of Biden, it's like, you know, the heart speaks of what it's full of. You know, these people are just projecting, in fairness, right? Because these people are always saying Zelensky is the one begging for money. This is exactly what Trump is doing. This is exactly what Trump is doing right now. He's begging for money from Zelensky. He's like, give me money, give me money, give me money. You know, he should put like Mr. Krabs fucking beside him, like prancing around in his Krusty Krab. Scrooge McDuck swimming in his money should be what's going on inside his head. Sound as we he'd. Right, Zelensky's not thinking about money. He's thinking about the safety and security of his country, which should seem obvious, but you know, a bunch of doolalies on the right seem to think otherwise.
To a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over. Question? Please go ahead. Go ahead. Please.
Mr. President, thank you. You had Mr. Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
Oh, I love this guy. I love how he licks my arse in every single question. Just what phony news media is this talking right
It's a
now?
very good question. It's a
Honestly, I'm sick
pathway
of
to
hearing him
peace.
speak.
It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation
Did you hear that? It's a wonderful sound.
to do that.
And now we're back into
Plus,
horror.
you know, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened.
Yeah,
You know,
lick
Iran was
Netanyahu's arse
They
as
had
well
no
while
money
you're
to
at
give
it.
to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were
Hamas.
so broke.
Hamas.
And then under Biden, they became
Yes.
rich as
Try to
hell.
wrap Hamas into this. Wait, come on.
No money.
Trump bingo. Talk about Iran as well, Donny.
To $300 billion in a period of 4 years.
Small loan of
And they
$1
gave a lot
billion
of that money
dollars.
away, and you see what happened, and that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. It's just I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes, if I can answer,
Please,
sorry,
go ahead.
please.
And I
Yeah,
do like
exactly,
your clothes,
Zelensky.
by the
Fucking
way.
tell him. You can
don't
answer.
have to- I think he's a great guy, by the way.
Who are these lot?
But I'm-
Who are these lot? Fucking, who are these chicken heads keep popping up, quacking about, like, oh, Mr. President, Mr. President, like, he can fucking speak for himself.
I don't know if you
Pipe
like
down,
each
you
other, but
lot.
You know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed.
I like this guy. I don't know
I think
him.
he's dressed beautifully.
So I have more. I have
Oh, yeah, that
more
was
serious
funny.
things than answer on such
Yeah,
question.
sure, that's
I
a
will
good-
answer on more serious
a good
question if I
statement.
can.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will not never work because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke
No,
to
no,
me.
you were the president.
He
You were
never
the
broke-
president
he
during.
never broke to me.
In 2016.
This is
you
exactly
were
what
the
I'm talking
president,
about.
Mr.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Zelensky's right here.
He had, of course, not.
Donald
with you,
Trump was
but
the
he had-
president when Russia broke the Minsk agreements. Yes, when they, first of all, fought the Battle of Ilovaisk, got a bunch of soldiers captured. No one in the world listened. The Minsk agreements were signed as a peace treaty negotiation between Russia and Ukraine, and then Russia inevitably breaks the peace treaty by starting the Battle of Donetsk Airport. Typical. Again, with its own security forces and regular military involved, but no one seems to care again. Despite the fact that President Poroshenko, before Zelensky, tried to show at a summit in Hamburg a bunch of Russian passports seized from criminals occupying Ukraine, no one seemed to listen. Trump never said anything back then. And now he's gloating on top of his big old high horse, on top of his steed, saying that, oh, I was the president and there was no war. What? Mate, Russia, like Zelensky said, broke peace 25 times. Hold on. They broke peace 25 times. They kept invading Ukraine for another 6 years. And then Donald Trump has the gall to say that all that time they weren't invading. And he's sitting on top his big Shire horse, spouting that he's the biggest peacemaker and that now he'll put an end to the war. Yeah, he'll put an end to the war the same way he did on his first presidency. The same way he did during his first presidency, I mean.
During
Just can't even speak English
we
now.
had conversations with our side, and we had
So
Normandy
tired.
format, you know, the
Tired of
France,
his
Germany,
bollocks. Tired of his
Ukraine, and
bullshit.
Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop.
Look up the children's hospital that was bombed in Ahmadid. That's what this. Look up the children's hospital. Look up the children's hospital that was bombed. Ahmadid. I think it was Kiev.
Stop this war.
Terrible shit.
And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance, connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial, this is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President,
under these
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay.
This question.
This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay. This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay.
Exactly.
Of course, some Russian assets would be.
Exactly.
have,
Maybe Trump should be making a deal with Putin about giving his Russian resources over to America to pay for the war in Ukraine, instead of having Zelensky try and pay back the grants that he gave them. Oh wait, Putin already signed off, offered Donnie Trump over here to sign off all his resources to him. Would you look at this? Putin offers resources to Trump. Look at this, right? Putin appears to offer rare earth material deal to the US after Trump-Zelensky White House meeting. Clash, as they say. We will be open to negotiations. Russian President Vladimir Putin suggests that he is open to cooperating with the US on rare earth materials gone viral. See how the turntables.
In Europe, about.
Lads, we're wrapping up soon, so if this blabber on isn't going to get any more interesting, we're going to skip to the juiciest 10 minutes, which happened to be the last of the video.
Billions, we can use them. We can use for renovation and buy military.
By the way, is this like a real chimney? The White House? Like, I always thought of the White House as this like technologically advanced place, like, you know, in Family Guy, Ireland before alcoholism. I don't know, I'm trying to scavenge anything that could be worthwhile, because this is just a bunch of blabber on. Like, Zelensky's trying to say things that are good things that are just objectively right, and Donald Trump is trying to get him into signing this deal, which Zelensky obviously isn't going to do. This is like unstoppable force meets an immovable object. I'm trying to draw blood from a stone here, make this more interesting than it can be.
It's also, we can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
Do you envision a trilateral summit with Putin and President Zelensky?
Wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and
Yes.
Ukraine or on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved.
Yeah, if we
And,
haven't heard that a billion times.
It's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done.
What are you talking about Poland? This is an interview about Ukraine. Mate, stop getting sidetracked, you fucking fanny. Go on.
Has to step up.
Yeah.
Gave
Go on.
President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing. What
We made a deal. So
was the
I'm just-
deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made
I'm a
deal.
business person. Alright, I'm a
I
businessman.
didn't
We've
think
heard it
we were
before,
gonna make a
Donnie.
deal,
No point.
and we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, what and how do you envision a trilateral summit?
You know,
with
if
President
someone
Zelensky
keeps on
and-
talking about how
Well,
smart and great they are, they
like each
probably
other, I can
aren't.
tell you that.
That's a
They
good
do
rule
not
of
like
thumb
each other.
to
This is
keep
not a
in
love
mind.
match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have
Oh
allowed
yes,
this
I know what 3 times 5 is, and Joe Biden did not know what 3 times 5 is. I'm really smart.
to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars.
I've stopped many
And people
wars.
will
What
tell
war have you
I've stopped wars
stopped?
that nobody ever heard
No, no,
about.
no, no,
I
no,
stopped
no,
wars
no,
before they
no,
ever
no.
started.
Shh. What war have you stopped? Exactly.
You can look at some of I could use a lot of
Afghanistan.
nations that would tell you
Afghanistan.
right now
Have you
they
stopped the
would
war in
probably go into war. I
Afghanistan?
could-
No, you just let the Taliban occupy Afghanistan, and a bunch of people died. A bunch of people fled to your country, creating a humanitarian crisis. Obviously, the money aspect of things was also a bit shaky on your part in terms of them. You can't have them as a business partner anymore because jihadists aren't going to do business with the American capitalists who are evil and what's that word they use? Who they send to Jahannam? Kafirs, yeah. And they've effectively created a fascist theocratic caliphate in the Middle East who is selling drugs to Iran, selling weapons to Iran. Iran is selling weapons to them, supposedly. There's the whole network of narcotic substances going through Afghanistan, the drug Silk Road. That's that aspect. And then the fact that they are against US foreign policy. They're right next to each other on the map, all 3 countries. They're all against you. Right? That's one thing. What have you done to stop war? Stopping war, in my opinion, in Afghanistan would mean getting rid of the government and doing what George Bush did, would be installing someone sympathetic to the US, which Donald Trump has failed to do. Other presidents have successfully done this in Yugoslavia, in Serbia, in Iraq, in Libya, in African countries. Donald Trump hasn't. The only country, the only war that he stopped supposedly is the one with North Korea, but North Korea doesn't have the capacity to start a war even with their southern neighbor. So this ain't nothing to gloat about. Again, Donnie, you're too big for your trousers, but they're still full of shite.
Right now, there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Mr. President.
About sorry, just a second.
Yeah, exactly. Shut up.
About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, modern Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the anyway will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants.
I can't scream because my neighbors are
in
the next room.
It's a fact.
I'm internally screaming right now.
If you will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers. It doesn't matter. Do you have ocean or not? Your soldiers will fight.
I love this part.
Would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv?
Don't tell us that we have an ocean, okay? We'll tell ourselves that we have an ocean. You're in no position. Have you said thanks at all? By the way, you said thanks at the start of the interview. I think I might have missed that part, but you definitely did say thanks, which would make a lot of sense when we see the next part of this video.
Which is going to be a dirty year with Lexi.
It was my question.
Especially when Vance opens his big gape hole and starts spouting a bunch of wild gobshite.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa.
Yeah, let's not talk about Odessa and move on to something interesting.
Getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa. Recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of things.
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So,
Mr.
President, one more. I mentioned Poland.
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that?
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good, and I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do my whole life.
See how he imposes onto Zelensky that he wants to make a deal? Donnie, who told you that? Zelensky sure as hell didn't fucking tell you that. You told yourself that and then reiterated it to the audience.
That's what I do is make deals.
You want to make a deal.
I'm in the middle of a mess.
All I do is make deals, and none of them have been successful so far. Keep that in mind.
This is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one.
Oh yeah, and you know how you can solve it? Instead of giving grants to Ukraine, instead of giving loans to Ukraine, you can give them grants. I said grants before, implying loans and talking about Ukraine giving them back. I was like, Russia should give them back. I meant loans. Instead of giving loans, you should give grants to Ukraine. Like Kamala, whatever, promised she was going to give Ukraine.
If this
I'll find it for you right
now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even worse, is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually...
For some reason, this list is missing the grant part of Kamala's promises to Ukraine, but we can definitely find this. Oh, there it is. He also thanked Harris, I'm assuming this is on about Zelensky, for announcing another very important US assistance. The allocation of more than 1.5 billion in needs for Ukraine. Has Donald Trump given that to Ukraine yet? No, and he doesn't even plan to. It doesn't say necessarily whether this is a loan or a grant, but this is still, like it says, a landmark in the 10-year bilateral security agreement. Jeez, I'm so acoustic, man. I'm so dyslexic I can't even read properly. In the bilateral agreement, security agreement during the G7 summit in Italy, that's where it's been promised. Has Donald Trump done anything of that caliber? No.
We spoke to him about that yesterday, and
he's not going to. But he'll do it for Putin.
Very much too far. JD
faster than I can say.
Very strong on it.
Orange man bad.
So was Marco, and we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about it?
Hold on.
We have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of various, particularly as it
impacts the fuck is this cunt? Who are you?
And there's real concern that Americans.
Why are your ears so damn big?
Online.
His one ear is bigger than two of my ears combined.
Could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made at Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one that what unites us with
Europe. Let's say Elon looks like a melted Ken doll. These boys are in the same pack. And Barbie is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Anything else is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
Mr. President.
There he is.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday, and I know that Secretary...
So zesty, man, especially like given the eyeliner as well and the gesticulations that he's doing. I think he's definitely keeping some. He definitely has some skeletons in his closet.
Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans...
Or some lovers that he's hiding from his wife.
Have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
Some of those minerals are in the east, Mr. President. You just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. And how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian forces?
They'll be protected.
European
The agreement will protect them.
US
the agreement.
The agreement would protect them. He's implying that U.S. resources are at stake. Donnie, maybe during your 4 years of presidency, you could have let Ukraine into NATO. You never thought about that with your big, massive head. Oh, I'm a businessman. Jeez, even my fucking flag fell off. It's sick of listening to your bollocks.
signing an agreement.
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in response?
I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to
I
happen,
don't think that's going to happen.
If I thought that was going to happen, I would.
And you're basing your I don't think off what exactly?
Focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions.
The shit's almost up. Let's skip to the good part.
Well, things, I'm not going to lie, good of the hate, I could be.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask?
Yeah, JD Sports is missing the part that the diplomacy that he's trying to engage is detrimental to America's ally and only emboldens their enemy.
Sure.
This is genius, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Give him hell, buddy. Come on.
Our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea.
By the way, this is the good part. This is the only part that's been leading up. This is the only part that we've been leading up to during this entire hour.
And so he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but
Who the fuck is this, by the way? Is this like Churchill or something?
those time was Obama, then
Thank God I'm in Ireland. We have somewhat adequate healthcare.
President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the
Zelensky should have said during 2016, because that's when Trump was president. It would have really put him in his place and put him in a chokehold with that big fucking clown tie that he has on him.
2015.
2014.
So he doesn't even know history, man. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know shit, man. He thinks he's fucking smart.
2014.
Yeah. So he killed.
He's about as smart as LCA kids, I tell you that, by.
Here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, this.
I've seen fellas in Canada Goose jackets robbing bikes smarter than Donald Trump.
Well, the situation the same. That people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking
Exactly,
about the
JD
kind of
Sports. The fuck are you on about?
diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
Yeah, with respect,
Right now,
I'm
you
going to
guys are going
disrespect you,
around
you cunt.
and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring.
Oh, what did he do at the start of the video? Did he not say thank you for your tremendous support and for helping Ukraine out? I don't know, but JD Vance might have some wax in his ear or something, right? Or maybe he just has a really short-term memory.
Into this
Have you
conflict.
ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems
I've been to Ukraine on Google Maps, man. Have you seen that SNL skit?
we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I
I've watched and seen the stories.
know that what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour.
So you haven't been to Ukraine. Just say, no, I haven't been to Ukraine. It's that easy, JD Sports. But instead you fucking come up with some copium bullshit like, oh, I did this, I did that, actually, and this is why you should be thanking us, even though he already did. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, there's no point to JD Sports blabbering on like this, trotting some wild gobshite at Zelensky for absolutely no reason, just to lick Trump's hool.
Mr.
Like, they're
President.
big boys, they can speak for themselves. Donald Trump is. Why does he need a little sidekick beside him to defend him when he has no words because he's so fucking stupid?
Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean. And don't feel now, but you will feel it.
He's gonna be like, don't tell us that we have nice oceans. We'll tell ourselves that we have nice oceans.
In the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't know
You don't know that we have nice oceans. You don't know that. You don't know that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
Oh, look at you, man. You're so dominant. Yeah. You're really definitely not overcompensating for Putin stepping on your bollocks while you were... Okay, I'm sick of making jokes like that. Honestly, you can make them once or twice, but it just starts getting weird afterwards. I think you can fill in the gaps. He's trying to overcompensate so hard, and Zelensky's honestly the wiser actor in all of this, right? Like, people blame him for being an actor, but you know, he's acting a lot more adequate than Donald Trump and JD Vance. Maybe this is just one of Zelensky's more advanced roles than what he did on TV. He's definitely pulling it off a lot better than them two are. If Donald Trump needs a fucking sidekick in his debate with Zelensky, who he doesn't view as someone on his level, given all this like domineering, like dominatrix bollocks that he's trying to do right now, he should not be talking to Zelensky as if they're not equals then. Seems fairly fucking obvious.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you
III.
think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is
Trying to bring up World War III rhetoric with someone who's actually trying to stop the war and get the US to coincide with the amount of money that they're spending on their military industrial complex and give the tiniest amount to Ukraine, which will actually go a long mile to world peace, which is what US presidents have been doing for ages. He's trying to turn that against Zelensky, and it comes off as so fucking shallow. Like, even the dumbest, most politically illiterate person can see right through it.
very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's
with all
backed
respect to
you
you.
far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
time.
If you literally said thank you about 30 minutes ago, if you didn't spend all that time picking your fucking nose and not listening to the conversation, you tit.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today,
have you said thank
even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October.
We've all seen this
Offer
part.
some words of appreciation for the United States
what
of
are you speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to
Thank you, America, for sending us 2 tanks. We're very grateful.
save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly.
And now Donald Trump is being his sidekick, you know. They're like the fucking gangrene gang from the Powerpuff Girls. Like,
Your country's
they're really that pathetic.
big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a
This
lot
is like
of talking.
this is like Beavis and Butthead, like trying to debate Professor Xavier. Like, honestly, like I'm sick of this cringe, like goy media, like, and parallels that like little fucking SJWs do when they reference Harry Potter. But like, realistically, I can't explain this in any other way. I can't show you what they're trying to do, because the right sees this as some kind of bravado from Trump, a certain dominance. But in reality, if you need a sidekick to assert dominance, both Trump and JD Sports, you know, you're really in a loss here, boys. You know, you should really go brush up on some of them debate skills that you claim to have.
Country is in big trouble.
I know.
Because Zelensky hasn't had to debate anyone, especially as big as Trump.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country.
Okay, because of us means Ukraine has to give over 3 oblasts to Russia. You know yourself, mate.
From the very beginning
Peace.
of the war, we've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of
accept
times,
that they're
thank you.
accept
Yeah,
that
how many times does he have to fucking reiterate to you, JD Vance? Go home, man. What are you doing here? What's the point of you being here? This is a debate between the world leader, arguably, even though he hasn't shown that he's capable of being such, and someone who's getting his country invaded. What the fuck is the point of your big head being here, man? Get out of here.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't please,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a
Yeah, Russia definitely isn't running low on soldiers. Russia definitely isn't running low on soldiers. It's all Ukraine. Tell me, by the way, Trump, right? This is a question to you. Has there ever been news articles on this about Ukraine's army? Because there have been on Russia's case, right? About their military. Like it says here on their own state TV, the Russian Ministry of Labor ordered more than 700,050 combat veteran certificates, 200,000 of which, if I remember correctly, are for the deaths of soldiers. 200,050 to their families, right? 200,050 soldiers have been confirmed dead by the Russian government and media. 300,000 Russian soldiers have been confirmed dead by Ukraine. It's easy to say that the mean number would be around 250,000. But Ukraine is losing soldiers. Ukraine, who's only lost about 40, right, maybe 50, 60 given the current offensive, but still nothing comparable to Russia. Right, we should use that as an excuse in order to fucking suck resources out of your country, suck Putin's knob, and also not give you shit. Tell you, go home, Zelensky. You're drunk. You don't deserve our money. You don't deserve to have safety and security. Our money, my money, matters more than your country's safety. That's exactly what he's saying. Because this plan that Trump is trying to dish out to Ukraine, to Zelensky, about buying out their 30% of their rare earth minerals for nada, for nothing, is, well, how do I say this? Bunch of horseshit. Because, I lost my train of thought. What was I trying to say? It shows that you're not trying to preserve peace. It shows that you're trying to pull Ukraine out of the war while also making more money for yourself. Because the amount of money that America has put into Ukraine is not comparable with the amount of money that the US will be able to extract under Trump's guidance, under Trump's command, when they have 30% of the control over 30% of Ukraine's rare earth minerals. It just won't be comparable. They'd be making 10 times more money, and Ukraine would lose 30% of their territory for nothing, and there won't be peace, and Russia will keep invading. Russia won't just invade you. This is Ukraine that Donald Trump is trying to make a deal with. Is Donald Trump going to make a deal with the Baltic states when Russia invades them? Because the problem is not Ukraine. The problem is not Ukraine's Russophobia and their constant antagonization of Russia. The problem is Russia. As long as Russia exists, is going to invade someone. That someone doesn't have to necessarily be Ukraine, but it'll be another country in the future. What Donald Trump, if he was smart, would try and tackle is the existence of Russia, and that Russia should be fragmented in order for it to not invade anyone else. That is truly how you keep peace. But he's just trying to keep his money and make more money for himself. by occupying Ukraine's resources the same way Ukraine occupies Russian land, making a deal with Putin then after, which Putin foreshadowed about, since under Russian law that part of Ukraine is now Russia's land. Those are going to be Trump's resources on Russian land that Ukraine won't now be able to not touch because Russia doesn't want them to, and Donald Trump, the president of America, doesn't want them to. So they're collaborating in order to take 30% of the land and resources from Ukraine together, the two bastards, and also Russia would still stay intact. What kind of peace plan is that? Think, Donnie.
Damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look.
He's trying to paint Zelensky as the bad guy, but just turn against him.
If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with
me. For you
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact...
And what did those javelins do? Is Russia still occupying Ukraine? Go figure.
The statement is, Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards, but without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to the Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
What if...
Right, boys. So basically what happens then on after is it gets really heated. It already has gotten really heated. And Zelensky gets kicked out of the Oval Office, which for some reason it doesn't show here. Now, what did we learn from this whole fiasco? We learned that Donald Trump is not a peacemaker. He's not trying to make peace. He wants to keep his financial gain, his financial profit, his friendly relations with Russia, wants to keep Russia intact. And none of those three things are in favour of Ukraine's independence and Europe's safety. Europe, a continent which my country happens to be in. So fuck you, Trump. From all of Europe collectively. Donald Tusk was right. We really need to make, there's a fella back in the 1920s called Joseph Pilsudski. He was offering to make a great big country dividing, as Slavoj Žižek once said, the barbarians from the civilized people. We need to make an alliance of sort on that basis without Belarus, since it's also occupied by Russia. Ukraine needs to join, like Donald Tusk said, Poland's premier, with the Baltic states, Poland, Norway and England in order to defend Britain, let's say, in order to defend against Russia more adequately. Because NATO is full of shit. Their Article 5 doesn't work, like I pointed out with those two Polish farmers. And moreover, why is America even in NATO? That just makes Europeans more lazy and less willing to defend themselves. They're just going to slouch back into their armchair, hoping that America, who spends on their military budget 10 times more than that what Europe spends, it'll make them too reliant on the US. And the US clearly doesn't want to help us out. So why the fuck should they be in NATO? Why should NATO even exist? We should make an alternative alliance by now. And alter the rules so that Ukraine can enter, because the whole caveat, the whole reason why Ukraine wasn't able to join NATO in the first place, to trigger Article 5 and kick Russia's arse collectively, is because there's a war going on there. Paradoxically, if there's a war in your country, we can't help you join to end that war, which is the most stupidest fucking rule in existence. This shows the futility and the absurdity of NATO's existence as a whole, and shows that America has abandoned our continent and now we should rely on ourselves. Zelensky, how should we say this? Sum up the conversation. Donald Trump and JD Sports are two tarts in the same breadbasket. One's more stupid than the other, and Zelensky, despite being at a disadvantage, despite not being the leader of a world superpower or the leader of a world superpower sidekick, seems to be more adequate than them. This should be, this is good, I think, as an interview. This should be the call to Europe collectively that we should not rely on the US, and it's headed by Zelensky. So he did everything right, and Donald Trump was predictable. Moving on. Thanks for watching the stream, and make sure to upload this to YouTube. Be sure to I have some annotations. I'll add them at the end of the video. Subscribe to all my channels, and most importantly to my TikTok, ShadySheep184. Very, very suiting name given the circumstances, and we shall see each other later on. Like I always say, Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine. Let's wait for Russia's collapse and Donald Trump's inevitable failure to defend Europe and Ukraine, and the fact that he won't be able to be president anymore, thankfully, after the war will still be going on. As I know for sure, he won't end it during his whole entire presidency. So, again, fuck Trump, fuck JD Vance. Zelensky really showed himself off in a good light, and if you have more than a brain cell, you realise it. Anyways, boys, I've talked way too long, and we have too much shit to do. Peace out.